This is Series 3, Live number 2, and our topic today is leadership mindset. So last week, I was honored to be joined by Kyle Richardson from the UK, and we talked about mindfulness in practice and how we get our brains ready to be leaders and ready to make change. We talked a bit about the state of being busy and how we intentionally oftentimes clutter up our space, both mentally and physically, with the state of being busy, and what we need to do to prepare ourselves for each day, for each week, for each encounter as we move through this thing called life. Today we're going to continue the topic, and we're going to talk about leadership mindset. Now, there is a lot to unpack in that. So let's start first with a definition of mindset. And I'm going to apologize for reading, but I wanted to make sure I got it right. So mindset is a set of assumptions, methods, or notions held by one or more people or groups. That's the definition of mindset. And there are different thought camps around this. There are people that think there are fixed mindsets and there are growth mindsets. And fixed mindset means that you were born with it, it's static, it's not changing, it's just who you are or how you think. And a growth mindset is developed over time, it's strengthened, it can change. Which one do you think a leader needs? Easy answer, right? Need to have a growth mindset. If a leader does not have a growth mindset, if they are stuck in that same place, how do they change and evolve as a leader, and how do they move an organization forward? So it is absolutely essential that leaders have a growth mindset. Now, you all know my company is Agility for All, and we talk about being agile all the time. And I'm always reminding you of the definition of agile with a lowercase a, not an uppercase a, and thinking about it as being flexible, adaptable, and responding to change quickly. So if we partner that up with these other words, leadership mindset, agile leadership mindset, what does that mean to us? Does that change the definition of leadership mindset? I would say that in 2020, with all that we've been through and everything that is ahead of us, that if your leadership mindset is not one of agility, you probably aren't going to be a leader for very long, or you're going to make everyone around you fairly miserable. So when we talk about a leadership mindset, we can assume, for the purposes of this discussion, that we are talking about an agile leadership mindset, being flexible, adaptable, and able to respond to change quickly, because that's what's called for in a leader. I recently, well actually it's probably been a couple months now, got engaged in a thread on LinkedIn about what makes an agile leader, or what makes a leader. And there were lots of different opinions and comments, and everybody was on the right track. So it's not like we had people that were out on the fringe. But Anjali Leon then wrote a blog article, and she put the 10 things that she thought made up an agile leader into this article. And rather than reinvent the wheel, I'd prefer to give her credit for what she's written. And I use that list when I'm doing group coaching programs or webinars about agile leadership, because she's summarized and encapsulated these ideas into 10 different topics. And I'll share the link to her blog in the chat when we're finished. I can't multitask and do it now. So the very first thing that she talks about, and I'm not going to go through all 10 of these in detail, but this first one really resonates with me. Become comfortable with uncertainty. And I think this is one of the most difficult things for leaders, because we are conditioned to always know the answers, to always present a front where we are solid, we have the answers, we know what we're doing, and to get comfortable with uncertainty seems to be at cross purposes at what is constantly thrown in our faces when people are in positions of leadership. But the reality is, if you're not comfortable with uncertainty and you're not comfortable with change, it's going to become increasingly difficult for you to be an effective leader. Would love to hear your thoughts about that if you have any. Another one that she talks about is use your leadership to create more courageous leaders at all levels. So this goes kind of, if you think about, if you've taken any agile training, especially Scrum training, we talk about the Scrum Master being the servant leader. This is kind of the same concept. It's you're putting yourself in a place where you can help others become leaders, that you're not constantly the one in the spotlight. So you can delegate, you can foster and mentor. The other thing is you're going to be removing obstacles for other people to be able to do the things that need to be done, experiment, not be afraid of change. All of those things go into this mindset. We have to come out of the command and control mindset, and we have to move into one where we are really just shepherding others. We are creating a space where other people can step into that space and lead with us. And that, to me, is really important to understand. We're drawing on all of the expertise and intelligence around us to move the organization forward. Someone asked me once what the difference between a leader and a manager is. And for me, it's what you're doing with it. If you're managing something, the very word manage implies that you've got direct control of it. But more importantly, what's the difference between a good leader and a bad leader, or a good leader and a bad manager? For me, a good leader is someone who surrounds themselves with people who come from different backgrounds, different skill sets. And I often say they surround themselves with people who are smarter than they are. And someone who's not quite as adept at doing this and is still in that command and control mindset, they're going to surround themselves with people who are less adept, less equipped, so that when things go wrong, they have somebody to blame. And that, to me, is a really important distinction. Are we setting the others around us up for success, and are we supporting them in failure? Or are we looking for a scapegoat to point fingers when things don't quite go the way we wanted them to? And that's really important. Another item that's on this list from Anjali is be flexible, except with your principles. And that is really important. We can be agile, but we don't want to be constantly waffling on our principles. Those are who we are, and we want to make sure we stick with those. So before we wrap up, because I could go on about this all afternoon, we could be doing, exercises to practice, which is what we do in the group coaching programs. I wanted to share with you something that one of my former staff in his 20s said to me when I was leaving a previous position, because I think it's the essence of what I've been trying to say here. He sent me a message, and it said, "Thank you for everything you have done for us. and all that you didn't do. Now, he was not saying you let us down and there were things you should have been doing, because there was more to this message. I just shared the most profound part of it. What he was saying was, when they needed me to be there doing, I was there doing. And when they needed me there supporting so they could do on their own, I was there supporting. And as leaders, it's really crucial that we get out of the way and let the people around us do their thing. If they weren't qualified and competent, why did we bring them into the organization in the first place? So we need to empower people to do what they need to do. We need to make it safe and okay for them to fail and recover. We don't just fail and stay down. To fail and recover, and we need to support them through that. And we need to be the ones that are leading with agility, being flexible and adaptable and quickly able to respond to change, and do it all in a transparent manner. So I hope that that was helpful. All month we're going to be talking about leadership. I will post blogs, articles, resources, inspirational quotes over the next few weeks to help you. And if this topic interests you and you want to know what's coming up for us, please go to learning.agilityforall.com and sign up for our pre-launch notifications and free content. And then you'll be the first to know when our leadership group coaching program goes live in 2021, but you can stay on top of what's going on. As always, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you choose. We have content almost daily on all of those forums. We have another great blog coming out tomorrow from a guest blogger about management and leadership and why it takes so long for change to happen. That's going to be a great article. And our topic next week is, as leaders, how do others see you? And I'm going to give you some activities to do during that session to help you find out, how do other people see you when you show up? So that has been this week's live. I kept it a bit shorter than normal because otherwise I would have gone down a rabbit hole of the topic of leadership, because it is a big one and near and dear to my heart. But I hope that you tune in next week for live number 3 in this series. And in the meantime, I will see you on all the socials. Bye, everybody.